The night was quiet at the International Space Station Alpha. Most of the crew slept peacefully, floating in their sleep pods. Only 2 people were awake, keeping an eye on the countless blinking lights and screens that covered the walls of the main control room. Dr. Sarah Chen yawned as she checked the readings for the 100th time that night. Her colleague, Alex Rodriguez, was busy typing a report. The soft hum of machines filled the air. Suddenly, a loud beep broke the silence. Sarah jumped in her seat, her eyes wide with surprise. "What was that?" Alex asked, looking up from his work. Sarah's fingers flew across the keyboard as she tried to find the source of the alarm. "I'm not sure," she said, her voice tense. "It's coming from the long-range communication system." As they watched, strange symbols began to appear on one of the main screens. They flickered and changed, forming patterns neither of them had ever seen before. Is that some kind of code?" Alex whispered, moving closer to the screen. Sarah nodded slowly, her heart racing. "I think so. But it's not like anything in our database." She pressed a button on the console. "Commander Harris, you need to see this. Now." Within minutes, the space station was buzzing with activity. Commander Harris arrived, followed by the rest of the crew. They all stared at the mysterious message, a mix of excitement and fear on their faces. "What do you think it is, Commander?" Sarah asked. Commander Harris stroked his chin thoughtfully. "I'm not sure, but I have a hunch. This might be our first contact with an alien civilization." A collective gasp filled the room. The idea of aliens had always been a possibility, but now it seemed to be becoming a reality. "We need to inform Earth immediately," the commander said. "And we need our best code breakers working on this message." As the hours passed, more and more people on Earth became involved. The best scientists and linguists from around the world worked tirelessly to decode the strange message. 3 days later, they had a breakthrough. Dr. Emily Sato, a brilliant linguist from Tokyo, was the first to crack the code. Her hand shook as she read the translated message aloud to a room full of world leaders and top scientists. "People of Earth," she began, her voice trembling with excitement. "We are travelers from a distant star system. Our fleet is in grave danger. Our propulsion systems have failed, and we are stranded in the cold void of space. If you can hear us, please help. We are peaceful and mean you no harm." The room erupted in a mixture of shocked gasps and excited chatter. The President of the United States stood up, raising her hands for silence. "This is an unprecedented moment in human history," she said, her voice steady despite the enormity of the situation. "We have a choice to make. Do we answer this call for help? Do we risk everything to save a species we've never met?" Debates raged across the globe. Some people were excited about the possibility of meeting aliens and showcasing humanity's best qualities. Others were scared, worried that it might be a trap or that helping the aliens could put Earth in danger. In the end, the decision was made. Humanity would answer the call. As preparations began for the greatest rescue mission in history, a sense of unity spread across the Earth. People from all nations and backgrounds came together, driven by a common purpose. Back on the space station, Sarah and Alex watched as a new message was sent out into space, a simple response that would change the course of human history forever. "Alien friends, we hear you. Help is on the way. You are not alone." As the message traveled through the vast emptiness of space, humanity held its breath, waiting for a response. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin, and no one knew quite what to expect. But one thing was certain: the universe would never be the same again. The world waited with bated breath. It had been 2 days since Earth sent its response to the alien distress call. Scientists, politicians, and ordinary people alike were glued to their screens, waiting for any news. At the International Space Station Alpha, Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't slept for 48 hours. Her eyes were red from staring at the communication console, hoping for a reply. Just as she was about to take a break, a familiar beep filled the air. "We've got something," she shouted, her fatigue forgotten in an instant. The crew gathered around her, watching as new symbols appeared on the screen. Thanks to Dr. Seto's work, they could now understand the alien language. "Greetings, people of Earth," Sarah read aloud, her voice filled with awe. "We are the Zoraks. Your offer of help fills us with joy and gratitude." Over the next few hours, messages flew back and forth between Earth and the stranded alien fleet. The Zoraks explained their situation in more detail. Their fleet of 5 massive ships had been on a peaceful exploration mission when their advanced propulsion systems mysteriously failed. They had been drifting helplessly through space for what they called many cycles. As scientists and engineers on Earth worked to understand the aliens' technology, world leaders prepared for a more direct form of communication. They decided to establish a video link with the Zoraks. The day of the video call arrived. In a heavily guarded room at the United Nations headquarters, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. A large screen flickered to life, and for the first time, humanity saw the face of an alien. The Zoraks ambassador appeared on the screen. It had a humanoid shape, but its skin was a deep blue color. Its eyes were large and entirely black, and it had no visible nose or ears. Despite its alien appearance, there was something undeniably intelligent and kind in its expression. "Greetings, Earth," the Zorak said, its words translated by a computer. "We are overwhelmed by your kindness." The UN Secretary General stepped forward. "Welcome, friends from the stars," she said, her voice steady despite her nervousness. "We are honored to make your acquaintance. Please, tell us how we can help." Over the next hour, the Zoraks explained their predicament in more detail. Their ships used a form of faster-than-light travel that humans had only dreamed of. But the system was complex and had failed in a way they didn't understand. As the conversation continued, it became clear that helping the Zoraks would be no easy task. Earth's technology was far behind the aliens in many ways. How could humans hope to fix something they barely understood? But there was also excitement. The Zoraks offered to share some of their knowledge in exchange for help. The potential advancements in science and technology were staggering. Not everyone was convinced, though. As news of the conversation spread, some people began to voice their doubts and fears. "How do we know this isn't a trick?" a popular news anchor asked on his show. "What if they're luring us into a trap?" These concerns reached the ears of world leaders. In a private meeting after the call, heated debates broke out. "We can't risk the safety of our planet," the president of Russia argued. "What if they're not as peaceful as they claim?" But others saw it differently. "This is our chance to prove ourselves as a species," the Prime Minister of India countered. "If we turn our backs on them, what does that say about us?" As the debate raged on, Dr. Sarah Chen and her team at the space station continued their analysis of the alien signals. They made a startling discovery. "The Zoraks aren't just stranded," Sarah reported to the UN. "Based on the data they've sent, their life support systems are failing. If we don't help them soon, they'll die out there." This news changed everything. Suddenly, it wasn't just about scientific curiosity or potential gains. It was about saving lives. The decision was made. Humanity would mount a rescue mission to save the Zoraks fleet. It would be the most ambitious space mission in history, fraught with unknown dangers and challenges. As preparations began, a mixture of excitement and fear gripped the world. Humanity was about to venture further into space than ever before, to save a species they had just met. The greatest test of human ingenuity, courage, and compassion was about to begin. The decision was made. Humanity would embark on its most daring mission yet, to save the stranded Zoraks fleet. But how does one prepare for a journey into deep space to help an alien civilization with technology far beyond human understanding? The answer, it turned out, was simple, with lots of hard work, cooperation, and a dash of human ingenuity. Within days of the announcement, space agencies from around the world joined forces. NASA, ESA, Roscosmos, CNSA, and others pooled their resources and expertise. The International Space Station became the headquarters for what was now called Operation Starlight. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself at the center of it all. Her experience with the initial contact made her an invaluable part of the team. She worked tirelessly alongside engineers and scientists from every corner of the globe. We need to build ships capable of traveling faster than anything we've ever made before, she explained during a briefing. And we need to do it in record time. The challenge was enormous, but humanity rose to meet it. Factories around the world switched to round-the-clock production of spacecraft components. Universities opened their doors to researchers working on the problem. Even private space companies joined the effort, setting aside competition for the greater good. As the ships were being built, another challenge emerged: who would crew them? "We need the best of the best," Commander Harris said during a UN meeting. "Pilots, engineers, scientists. And they need to be ready for anything." The call went out, and the response was overwhelming. Millions of people from around the world volunteered, eager to be part of this historic mission. The selection process was grueling, but eventually, a team was chosen. Among them was Alex Rodriguez, Sarah's colleague from the space station. His quick thinking during the initial contact had caught the attention of the selection committee. "I can't believe I'm going to be on the rescue team," he told Sarah, his eyes wide with excitement and a hint of fear. Sarah smiled, squeezing his shoulder. "You'll do great, Alex. We all will." As the launch date approached, the world held its breath. The 3 ships of the rescue fleet stood proudly on their launch pads. Unity, Hope, and Curiosity. Each was a marvel of human engineering, incorporating the best technology Earth had to offer, with some systems inspired by what they'd learned from the Zoraks. The night before the launch, billions of people around the world took part in a global vigil. Candles were lit in every time zone, a show of unity and hope for the brave men and women about to embark on this incredible journey. As dawn broke on launch day, the crew of Operation Starlight made their way to the ships. They wore sleek new spacesuits, designed for the long journey ahead. Each member carried a small flag from their home country, but they all wore the same patch on their shoulders, an image of Earth and a distant star, connected by a bridge of light. Sarah Chen, now the mission's chief science officer, paused at the foot of the ramp leading to Unity, the lead ship. She looked back at the crowd of people watching from a safe distance. Among them, she spotted her parents, tears in their eyes but smiles on their faces. Taking a deep breath, she turned and climbed the ramp. As she settled into her seat in Unity's control room, she heard the voice of Mission Control in her earpiece. "Unity, this is Houston. All systems are go. Prepare for launch sequence." Similar messages went out to Hope and Curiosity. The atmosphere was tense but filled with determination. As the countdown began, Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. She thought of the Zoraks, waiting out there in the darkness of space. She thought of Earth and all the people counting on them. And she thought of the incredible journey that lay ahead. 10, 9, 8. The engines roared to life, shaking the ships with their immense power. 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have liftoff. With a deafening roar and a blinding flash of light, the 3 ships of Operation Starlight rose from the Earth. They climbed higher and higher, pushing against gravity, carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. As they broke through the atmosphere and into the blackness of space, cheers erupted in Mission Control and around the world. The rescue mission had begun. Humanity's greatest adventure was underway, and the universe would never be the same again. The 3 ships of Operation Starlight, Unity, Hope, and Curiosity, soared through the inky blackness of space. They had left Earth behind days ago, and now they were venturing further than any human had ever gone before. Dr. Sarah Chen floated in Unity's observation deck, her eyes wide with wonder. The stars stretched out before her, countless pinpricks of light against the darkness. It was beautiful, but also a stark reminder of how small they were in the vastness of space. "It's amazing, isn't it?" Alex Rodriguez said, floating up beside her. "I never imagined I'd see anything like this." Sarah nodded, unable to find words to express the mix of awe and fear she felt. They were on a mission to save an alien race, traveling through unknown territory. The weight of their responsibility was enormous. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Sarah and Alex rushed to the control room, where Commander Harris was already barking orders. "Asteroid field ahead," he shouted. "All hands to stations." The crew scrambled to their positions. Through the main view screen, they could see a sea of rocks tumbling through space, some as small as pebbles, others as big as mountains. "Evasive maneuvers," Commander Harris ordered. The ships danced through the asteroid field, their pilots showcasing skills honed through countless simulations. Unity narrowly avoided a massive boulder, while Hope and Curiosity weaved between smaller rocks with breathtaking precision. For hours, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. But finally, they emerged on the other side, battered but unbroken. As the adrenaline faded, Sarah couldn't help but laugh. "We did it," she exclaimed, high-fiving Alex. "We actually did it." The victory was short-lived, however. Just as they were catching their breath, a new challenge arose. "Solar flare detected," one of the science officers announced. "It's a big one, heading our way." Solar flares were dangerous enough near Earth, but out here, with no planet's magnetic field to protect them, they could be deadly. "Activate the shields," Commander Harris ordered. "Divert all non-essential power." The ship's experimental shields, based partly on Zorax technology, hummed to life. As the wave of charged particles washed over them, the shields glowed brightly, straining under the assault. Inside the ships, the crew held their breath. Instruments flickered, and for a heart-stopping moment, it seemed like the shields might fail. But they held. As the solar flare passed, a cheer went up from the crew. Now that, Alex said with a grin, was too close for comfort. As the journey continued, the crew settled into a routine. They monitored systems, conducted experiments, and continued to study the Zorax data. But the challenges of space were never far away. One day, as Sarah was analyzing some data, she noticed something strange. "Commander," she called out, "I think you need to see this." The readings showed an anomaly in space ahead of them. It was like nothing they had ever seen before. As they approached, they saw it, a swirling vortex of energy, beautiful and terrifying. "What is it?" Alex asked, his voice filled with awe. "I'm not sure," Sarah replied. "But based on the Zorax data, I think it might be a wormhole." The possibility was mind-boggling. If it was indeed a wormhole, it could potentially shorten their journey by weeks or even months. But it was also incredibly dangerous. One wrong move could tear their ships apart. Commander Harris faced a difficult decision. Should they risk the wormhole and potentially reach the Zorax much faster? Or should they play it safe and go around, even if it meant the aliens might not survive long enough for them to arrive? After a tense discussion with the crew and a call back to mission control on Earth, the decision was made. They would attempt to use the wormhole. As they prepared for the risky maneuver, Sarah looked out at the swirling vortex ahead. She thought about the Zorax, waiting for help. She thought about Earth and everyone counting on them. And she thought about the incredible journey that had brought them here, to the brink of something no human had ever experienced before. "Whatever happens," she said softly, "we're making history." With a deep breath, Commander Harris gave the order. "All ships, prepare to enter the wormhole. May fortune favor the brave." The 3 ships of Operation Starlight aligned themselves with the swirling vortex. With a burst of their engines, they plunged into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay on the other side. The rescue mission had taken an unexpected turn, and the greatest challenge yet lay ahead. But the crew was ready. They were humanity's best, and they would not fail. The journey through the wormhole was unlike anything the crew had ever experienced. Flashes of light and color swirled around the ships, and for a few terrifying moments, it felt like they were being torn apart and put back together again. Then suddenly, it was over. The 3 ships of Operation Starlight burst out of the wormhole into unfamiliar space. Status report. Commander Harris called out, his voice steady despite the wild ride they'd just been through. All systems operational, came the reply from various crew members. Minor damage to the outer hull, but nothing critical. As the crew caught their breath, Dr. Sarah Chen was already at work, checking their position. Her eyes widened as she looked at the readings. "Commander," she said, her voice filled with awe, "if these readings are correct, we've traveled hundreds of light years in a matter of minutes. And..." She paused, double-checking her instruments. "I think I've found the Zorax fleet." Sure enough, as they looked out the main view screen, they saw 5 massive ships drifting in the distance. The alien fleet was a sight to behold, their sleek designs unlike anything humans had ever created. As they approached, however, it became clear that something was very wrong. The Zorax ships were dark, with only faint emergency lights visible. There was no sign of movement or activity. "Their condition is much worse than we expected," Sarah said, her voice grim as she analyzed the data coming in. "Their life support systems are nearly depleted. We don't have much time." Commander Harris nodded, his face set with determination. "All right, people, this is what we came for. Let's get to work." The rescue mission sprang into action. Unity docked with the largest Zorax ship, while Hope and Curiosity positioned themselves near the others. Sarah, along with a team of engineers and scientists, was among the first to enter the alien vessel. They wore special suits designed to protect them from any potential alien pathogens. As they floated through the corridors of the Zorax ship, they were struck by how alien yet familiar it all seemed. The technology was far advanced, but the layout suggested beings not too different from humans. They found the first Zorax in what appeared to be the ship's control room. The alien beings were in a state of suspended animation, their blue skin pale and their large black eyes closed. "They're alive," Sarah confirmed after checking their vital signs with specialized equipment. "But barely. We need to get their systems back online fast." The team set to work, facing challenge after challenge. The Zorax technology, while advanced, was completely foreign to them. Every step was a puzzle they had to solve. "It's like trying to fix a quantum computer with stone tools," Alex muttered as he struggled with an alien control panel. But giving up was not an option. Hour after hour, the human team worked tirelessly. They used every bit of knowledge they had, combined with the information the Zorax had sent earlier, to try and understand the alien systems. Just when it seemed they were making progress, a new problem arose. Alarms blared throughout the ship. "What's happening?" Commander Harris demanded over the comlink. Sarah rushed to check the readings, her face paling as she understood. "The ship's core is destabilizing," she explained. "If we can't contain it, it could cause a chain reaction that would destroy not just this ship, but the entire fleet, including our ships." The situation had gone from bad to worse. Now it wasn't just about saving the Zorax, it was about saving themselves as well. "We need a solution, fast," Commander Harris said, his voice tense but controlled. Sarah looked around at her team, seeing the fear in their eyes, but also the determination. They had come too far to fail now. "I have an idea," she said, her mind racing. "But it's risky. We'll need to redirect power from our own ships to stabilize the Zorax core. It could leave us stranded out here if it doesn't work." There was a moment of silence as the weight of the decision sank in. Then Commander Harris spoke. "Do it," he said firmly. "We came here to save lives, and that's exactly what we're going to do." As the team rushed to implement Sarah's plan, the fate of 2 species hung in the balance. The greatest test of human ingenuity and courage was unfolding in the depths of space, far from home, but united in a common goal. The next few hours would determine not just the success of their mission, but potentially the future of interstellar relations. Humanity's moment of truth had arrived. Time was running out. The core of the Zorax ship was becoming more unstable by the minute. Dr. Sarah Chen and her team worked frantically, their hands flying over alien controls as they tried to implement their risky plan. "We're routing power from Unity now," Alex called out, his voice tense. The lights in their own ship dimmed as energy flowed into the failing Zorax vessel. Sarah watched the readings anxiously. "It's not enough," she said, her heart sinking. "We need more power." Just then, a strange sound filled the air. It was like nothing they had ever heard before, a series of clicks and whistles that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "What's that?" Alex asked, looking around in confusion. Sarah's eyes widened as realization dawned. "It's them," she whispered. "The Zorax. They're waking up." Sure enough, the alien beings were stirring. Their large black eyes blinked open, taking in the scene around them. For a moment, humans and aliens stared at each other in wonder. Then, without a word, one of the Zorax floated over to the control panel. Its long, slender fingers danced over the controls with practiced ease. Suddenly, the alarms quieted, and the ship's core began to stabilize. "They're helping us," Sarah exclaimed, her face lighting up with joy and relief. What followed was an incredible display of teamwork. Despite the language barrier, humans and Zorax worked side by side, communicating through gestures and shared purpose. The Zorax's knowledge of their own technology, combined with the humans' fresh perspective and innovative thinking, proved to be a powerful combination. As they worked, Sarah noticed something fascinating. "Look at how they're using the energy," she said to Alex. "They're not just stabilizing the core, they're repurposing it somehow." Alex nodded, his eyes wide with excitement. "It's like they're creating a new type of energy matrix. I've never seen anything like it." Hours passed in a blur of activity. Slowly but surely, the crisis began to abate. One by one, the systems on the Zorax ships came back online. The fleet was coming back to life. Just when it seemed like they had overcome the worst, a new threat emerged. A massive asteroid, easily twice the size of the largest Zorax ship, appeared on their long-range scanners. It was on a collision course with the fleet. "We don't have enough power to move the ships out of the way," Commander Harris said grimly over the comlink, "and our weapons aren't strong enough to destroy something that big." For a moment, despair threatened to overwhelm them. Had they come so far, overcome so much, only to fail now? But the Zorax were not ready to give up. One of them approached Sarah, making a series of gestures towards the newly stabilized core, and then pointing at the asteroid on the screen. Sarah's brow furrowed as she tried to understand. Then her eyes lit up. "Of course," she exclaimed. "They want to use the reconfigured energy matrix as a weapon." It was a brilliant but dangerous plan. They would have only one shot, and if it failed, they would be defenseless against the oncoming asteroid. Humans and Zorax sprang into action once again. They worked tirelessly, reconfiguring systems and rerouting power. It was a race against time, with the asteroid growing larger in their viewscreen with each passing minute. Finally, everything was ready. The entire fleet held its breath as the Zorax ship powered up its makeshift weapon. Energy crackled around the ship, building to a blinding intensity. With a silent command, the Zorax fired. A beam of pure energy, more powerful than anything humans had ever witnessed, shot out from the ship. It struck the asteroid dead center. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a flash of light that forced everyone to shield their eyes, the asteroid shattered into countless pieces. A cheer went up from both humans and Zorax alike. They had done it. Against all odds, they had saved the fleet and themselves. As the celebration died down, Sarah looked around at the mixed crew of humans and aliens. Despite their differences, they had worked together, innovated together, and triumphed together. "You know," she said to Alex, a smile spreading across her face. "I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship." As humans and Zorax began to properly introduce themselves and share their stories, it was clear that this adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just the beginning of a new era for both species, an era of exploration, cooperation, and endless possibilities. The stars had never seemed brighter or closer than they did at that moment. The journey back to Earth was filled with excitement and anticipation. The human rescue fleet, now accompanied by the 5 massive Zorax ships, made its way through space. The wormhole that had brought them to the Zorax had disappeared, so they had to take the long way home. But nobody seemed to mind. During the weeks of travel, humans and Zorax spent time learning about each other. The Zorax were fascinated by human culture and history, while the humans were in awe of the advanced Zorax technology. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself acting as a bridge between the two species. She spent hours with the Zorax, learning their clicking language and teaching them English in return. "It's amazing how similar we are in some ways," she told Alex one day, her eyes shining with excitement. "They have families. They love music. They even have jokes." Alex grinned. "Yeah, but their jokes are terrible. Did you hear the one about the asteroid and the comet? I didn't get it at all." As they approached the solar system, excitement on Earth reached a fever pitch. The news that not only had the mission been successful, but that they were bringing back an entire alien fleet had spread like wildfire. Commander Harris called a meeting of both human and Zorax leaders. "We'll be reaching Earth orbit in 48 hours, he announced. "We need to prepare for our arrival." The Zorax leader, whose name sounded like a series of melodic clicks, spoke through a translation device. "We are honored to visit your home world," it said. "We hope this will be the beginning of a lasting friendship between our peoples." As they entered the solar system, they were met by a fleet of Earth's ships, sent out to escort them home. It was an impressive sight. The sleek human vessels alongside the massive Zorax ships, all moving in harmony. Finally, the moment arrived. The fleet entered Earth orbit, and for the first time, the people of Earth saw the Zorax ships with their own eyes. Cheers erupted in every city around the globe as the ships appeared as bright points of light in the sky. A landing site had been prepared, a massive field outside of New York City. One by one, the ships touched down. Unity landed first, followed by Hope and Curiosity. Then, in a moment that would be remembered for generations, the first Zorax ship landed on Earth. As the dust settled, a hush fell over the crowd gathered to witness the historic moment. The door of Unity opened, and out stepped Commander Harris, followed by Dr. Sarah Chen and the rest of the crew. They looked tired but proud, their faces beaming with the joy of homecoming. Then, the Zorax ship opened. The alien beings floated out, their blue skin shimmering in the sunlight. They looked around in wonder at the sea of humans before them. For a moment, there was silence. Then, someone in the crowd started to clap. Soon, the applause spread, growing into a roar of welcome that seemed to shake the very ground. Sarah stepped forward, standing between the humans and the Zorax. She raised her hands for quiet, and the crowd fell silent. "People of Earth," she said, her voice carried by speakers to the millions watching around the world, "I present to you our friends, the Zorax. They came to us in need, and in helping them, we have gained so much more than we could have imagined. Today marks the beginning of a new era for both our species." The Zorax leader floated forward, its translator device converting its clicks and whistles into words. "We thank you, people of Earth, for your bravery and kindness. You have saved our people, and in doing so, you have proven yourselves to be true friends of the stars. We look forward to sharing our knowledge and exploring the universe together." The crowd erupted in cheers once more. Humans and Zorax mingled, shaking hands, or tentacles, exchanging greetings, and marveling at their differences and similarities. As Sarah watched the scene unfold, she felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Alex, grinning from ear to ear. "So," he said, "ready for our next adventure?" Sarah laughed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Always," she replied. "The universe is waiting." As the sun set on this historic day, the people of Earth looked to the stars with new eyes. They had faced the unknown, overcome great challenges, and emerged triumphant. But more than that, they had made new friends and opened the door to a future filled with endless possibilities. The greatest adventure in human history had only just begun.